never know what's actually on the track or what's you in the background.
I try to blend in.
I like it.
All right, let's do it. Thursday night, what do we got?
All right, me and Gill have a huge rivalry this week. I don't know if we're going to be able to speak after this one, but Thursday night football, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, the Washington Commanders versus America's team, the Green Bay Packers.
Stop it. All right, both Washington and Green Bay lose. Washington yesterday against the Giants. After a couple punts, Washington, 8 plays, 89 yards. The big ones, Jaden to Chris Moore for 34, Jaden and Noah Brown for 18. 4 plays later, Jaden to Zach Ertz for 7. Touchdown, Washington up 7-0, 8 minutes into the game. Giants would matriculate to 4th and goal at the 3. Incomplete pass, but Wise Jr., illegal hands to the face on Wilson. To a lineman, Giants, 1st and goal at the 1, incomplete. 2nd and goal, scattered a 1-yard loss. 3rd and goal at the 2.5, incomplete. 4th and goal, they just say, we're not good at this. Gano, 20-yard field goal, 7-3 Washington. Early second quarter, after a 16-play drive, the Giants settle for the 20-yarder because they can't get it in. A couple punts later, Washington, Krosky Merritt for 11, Jaden Adebo for 16, and McLaurin for 13, Jaden for 11. Eventually, Krosky Merritt in from 6, 14-3 Washington, 6:14 left in the second quarter. The Commanders did botch at the end of the half, Jaden with an intentional grounding call, so it remained 14-3 Washington at the half, but a 219-79 total yards advantage for the Skins. Third quarter, again after a few trade of punts, the Giants get a Gano 55-yard field goal to cut it to 14-6 late third quarter. But later, Washington, 80-yard drive, including Jaden for 14 and 12. Debo in from 19. Didn't look too fat there, people. Stop with the fat Debo things. Touchdown, 21-6, Washington, 7:09 left in the fourth. And then the Giants one more time had a 1st and goal at the Washington 3. Incomplete, 4th and goal, incomplete. And that's how it would end. Jaden, 19 of 30 for 233. Krosky Merritt, 7th-round pick, 10 for 82 and a touch. Debo, 7 for 77. And then 1 carry for 19 yards and a touchdown. 432 to 231 total yards advantage. 220 rushing yards for Washington. Green Bay takes down Detroit, Wyatt. Green Bay from their own 16, 3 big third down conversions along the way, all on Love completions. 3rd to Tucker Kraft from 15 out on 3rd and 9, touchdown, 7-0 Pack. Then McManus would add a field goal to make it 10-0. Detroit drive takes over 9 minutes, but forced to settle for a Jake Bates 30-yard field goal, makes it 10-3. Then Green Bay, 2 plays, 65 yards. Love to Romeo Doubs for 48. Love to Jaden Reed for 17. 17-3 Packers, not even halfway through the second quarter. Detroit, 3rd and 7 at the Green Bay 16. 1:12 left in the half. Goff picked by Evan Williams. But Green Bay from their own 13 with 1:10 to go and 2 timeouts, and then 3rd and 1 at their own 22 with just under a minute left. Romo calling for the Lions to use a timeout, but they can't risk helping Green Bay if they then convert it. I don't know what Romo was talking about there. So it remains 17-3 at the half. Third quarter, another long Detroit drive that ends up with a Bates field goal to make it 17-6. Green Bay punt after Anzalone drops what would be second down pick. Then Branch picks Love on 3rd, but it's nullified by defensive holding penalty. They still have to punt. And then later, Green Bay 8 plays, 64 yards, 4th and 1 conversion at the Detroit 10 when Love gets 2 plays later. Jacobs in from 3, 24-6. It would extend to 27-6, and then a beautiful touchdown pass in garbage time. A catch, I should say, by Isaac Tisla. Final score 27-13. Packers over the Lions. I was wrong on that one for sure. We'll talk a little bit more about this game. I guessed Green Bay minus 4.5, hoping that they would overrate the Packers here.
You're pretty close. DraftKings right now has the Packers at minus 3.5.
Okay, so I didn't get what I wanted. I wanted them to go crazy on the Packers and downgrade Washington, but I didn't get that. We'll talk a little bit more about this game, but we'll go to Sunday. Trying to extract value is what this is about. Next, Justin Pennick. Justin Pennick works at John Boy Media. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, and this goes back to, we'll continue guessing lines with this, and we'll harken back to the game we just talked about Thursday night between the Commanders and the Packers. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the worst second down defensive performance ever. The Giants on 10 different instances had the Commanders on 2nd and 10 or longer. The Commanders averaged 15 yards per play on those plays. So we'll get to the Giants, but that was the thing about Brian Daboll's act yesterday, and I'm the one who, when he won Coach of the Year, I was like, he got credit for so much high leverage nonsense where they were like, the Giants sucked between the 20s, but then on defense and offense within the 20, they like played so great, and I hit all season win total unders the next year. He got into it with Malik Neighbors on the sideline. That was an awkward exchange. Russell Wilson, as we documented with the 2 fourth down and goals, 2 first down and goal situations at the doorstep where they couldn't get it in. I don't know what the Giants think they're proving with Russell Wilson after seeing that. It should be Jackson Dart. Brian Dable has said he has not committed to a quarterback for next week. But with Washington, again, for the haters who think that Jaden Daniels is going to regress, well, one game in, he's still going up against Burns and Thibodeau and Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence and a great front seven, and they didn't really have that much of a problem. They had moments, for sure, but that Giants team is looking bad, and Washington looked good enough yesterday to beat the Giants. Your Packers look, I'm curious with all these week 1 games, where does the good end, where does the bad begin with the winners and the losers, right? So with the Giants and Washington, a lot of that was Giants bad. With the Packers and Lions, it was probably a lot of Packers good, but the Lions had really long possessions that just ended up in field goals too. So I'm not sure how you feel about that as a Packers fan.
I thought the first half for Green Bay was absolutely perfect. I think that's when you look at the good for Green Bay. Offensively, they gave that big punch. I mean, last year, majority of their losses, actually all their losses, Gil, by about the second quarter, they were down by double digits. It's so hard to come back down 2-3 scores. So I loved the way that they were able to move the ball. Third down conversions were great, but defensively, it was that bend, don't break mentality. And every time Micah Parsons came out there obviously he was on a limited basis, he was making an impact. So I honestly, defensively, the entire game was absolutely beautiful. Offensively, first half was great. Second half, you had those moments, and thankfully that holding call went against the Lions.
We'll learn a lot Thursday night. Packers and Washington. You said the line was 3.5. I guessed 4.5. All right, Sunday morning.
All right, Sunday morning, we are going to start here with the 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The Los Angeles Rams taking on the Tennessee Titans.
Los Angeles Rams, Tennessee Titans. Rams beat Houston yesterday in a weird game. It was 6-0 Houston, 2 field goals. Second quarter, Rams then go on their first scoring drive. 9 plays, 65 yards. Stafford to Nakua for 19 and 24. Kyron eventually in from 1, 7-6 Rams, less than a minute left in the second quarter. Houston from their own 23 with 49 seconds left. Stroud to Xavier Hutchinson, the big pickup, then a 14-yard Stroud rush. Sets up a Fairbairn 53-yard field goal, 9-7 Houston at the half. There was a lot of that, a lot of good late drives with very little time throughout the NFL, even beginning on Thursday night. Third quarter, 9-7 Houston. Rams, 68-yard drive. Stafford to Xavier Smith for 36, the big play. Stafford to Davis Allen from 13 out. It's 14-9 Rams with 12:28 left in the third quarter, and this score would hold the rest of the way. Houston, 2nd and 22, own 37. Perfect pass, but Kobe Durant strips it midair for the pick. That might have been the best play in the NFL all week, that one in that game. Rams couldn't do anything with it. Rams later, 1st and 10, the Houston 12. So they're up 5. They're knocking at the door. Stafford to Colby Parkinson for 7, but he's hit by Azeez Al-Shamiri. Fumbles. Daniil Hunter recovers. So Houston, new life, down 5 with 4:09 left from their own 12. They matriculate all the way. There's a matriculate, first one of the year, to the Rams 25. Stroud to Dave Ogunbowale. Tackled by Nate Landman. He fumbles. Recovered by Braden Fisk. And then they came down to a Rams own 24 with 1:43 left. It came down to a 3rd and 8 at their own 26. Stafford flips it to Nakua for 26 ball game. Stafford 21 of 29 for 245. Nakua 10 catches for 130. Good start to what could be an offensive player of the year campaign for Puka. Tennessee loses to Denver. Grateful are all Denver survivor players. With 3-0 Tennessee, Joey Sly 50-yard field goal early in the first quarter after a nifty play by Ward, flipping it to Pollard on 3rd and 10 for a 29-yard pickup. It was 3-3 after a Lutz field goal. Later, Denver. This is just one of these games that if you had Denver in Survivor, you were like, oh, this is not going to go well. Denver 2nd and 18, 3-3 game. Own 24, Knicks downfield pick by Roger McCreary. Tennessee set up at their own 46, 2nd and 6 at the Denver 39. Pollard hit by Talanoa Ufanga. Fumbles recovered by Brandon Jones. Later, Tennessee a 3-and-out deep in their own territory after excellent challenge by Sean Payton. Officials way too eager to move chains on a play that looked short-lived. And was. Denver 2nd and 9 at their own 48, though. Knicks takes forever to unload it. He's sacked by Jeffrey Simmons. He fumbles. Recovered by Sebastian Joseph Day at the Denver 38. That led to a Sly field goal, and Tennessee was up 6-3 with 2:16 left in the second quarter. Tennessee would take over with 47 seconds left on their own 7, up 3, instead of running out the clock with Denver only having 2 timeouts left. Incomplete, then a sack by Cooper. Just terrible clock management by Ryan Callahan. Tennessee got a punt from the 1, 39 seconds left. They net 38 yards after a nice Mims 16-yard return. Denver with the ball to the Tennessee 37 with 27 seconds left. PI, then Nix to Sutton from 22 out. 10-6 Denver with 16 seconds left. And then Chimere Dike returns the ensuing kickoff 71 yards, set up a sly 42-yard field goal. 10-9 Denver at the half. Again, if you're a Denver Survivor player, like this is not going to work out. But third quarter, second and fourth, their own 29. Nix picked off by Xavier Woods. Tennessee set up at the Denver 26. They end up 4th and 1 on the Denver 17, elect to kick a field goal slide, good from 35-12 to 10 Tennessee. Denver would add a field goal to go up a point, 13-12. Tennessee would then get a muffed punt by Marvin Mims Jr. Dorian Mousey recovered it. Tennessee set up at the 24, second and 8, the Denver 22. Ward sacked by Jonah Ellis all the way back to the 38, then sacked again down to the 49. They'd have to punt with 9:22 left. Denver, after an R.J. Harvey big 50-yard run, Dobbins would get it in 20-12 Denver with 7:37 left. Finally, some breathing room. But man, oh man, Denver, again, I don't know what Sean Payton was thinking late in this game in a fourth down situation where he just has Nix throw the ball up in the air rather than punt or try a field goal. Either way, Tennessee had one more shot at it, couldn't get it. I'm going to say Rams minus 4.5 at Tennessee.
Close, Rams minus 6.
Interesting. We'll get back to that. We'll talk about that. More guessing lines on the other side. Just concluding that Broncos Tennessee discussion. 20-12, the Broncos win it. Survivors survive. It was the single most selected pick. It was most of my entries, too, ended up being the Broncos. The late game, so it was 20-12 Broncos. Denver had a 4th and 1 at their own 46. Nix was stopped for no gain by Cedric Gray, and it was measured electronically. It was the first time they've ever used the Hawkeye systems. And for those who were watching Red Zone, Scott Hansen acted like Hawkeye is this brand new technology and that it's somehow not determined by where the humans, the officials, put the ball in the first place. And as a tennis guy, I was just so offended by this. I'm like, dude, it's been around forever. Stop it. And it's the humans putting it down. Stop it. Anyway, Tennessee, would get stopped here, right? Denver ends up with the ball again, up 20-12. This is the moment, the Sean Payton thing I was talking about. For as good as his challenge was in the first half, the Denver Broncos they get to 4th and 8 at the Tennessee 36 with 1:04 left. Now you can kick a field goal there, or you can punt, or you can go for it. You're up 8. They probably should punt and pin them, as Tennessee has 0 timeouts left at this moment. But instead, Nix throws a moon ball downfield that's nowhere near Mims. So Tennessee, took over at their own 36 with 59 seconds left, down 8. And Ridley ends up dropping a second down pass. By the way, that was the thing with Cam Ward yesterday. Ward was 12 of 28 for 112. It was 4 and out, by the way, for the Titans, but the second down play really should have been a completion. Ward was let down a few times by his receivers. I'm not going to say that he wasn't, I'm not saying he was good necessarily yesterday, but he wasn't as bad as these stats suggest. Let's put it that way. 12 of 28 for 112. He was sacked 6 times. The Titans only had 7 first downs. They were only 2 of 14 on third downs in this game. They were outgained 317 to 133. They had 13 penalties for 131 yards, and somehow they were still in this game to the end. The NFL will drive you crazy. What's next?
All righty, next game, Sunday, 1 p.m., Battle of the Cats That Can Kill You, Jaguars versus the Bengals.
Is that the kind of Wyatt Flair we're going to get today? Battle of the Cats That Can Kill You?
I thought that was a good one. That sprung into my head about 5 seconds before I talked to you.
All right, both of these teams are 1-0. Jaguars beat the Panthers in a game that had a 1 hour plus weather delay. How do we feel about the weather delays, y'all? Yeah? Is this the...
I totally forgot about that game was going on.
This is how you kids deal with weather, Wyatt? Is that what it is? Back in my day, we used to play through this stuff. Sorry, Wyatt, I didn't mean to...
What was it called? Dodge the lightning?
Didn't mean to blame it on you. Jacksonville beats the Panthers. Not much to say about this game other than it was more of the same from the Panthers, really. But it was a 3-3 game. Carolina, 2nd and 1, owned 25. Bryce Young picked by Foyesade Oluokun. Jacksonville set up at the Carolina 35, 8 plays later. Lawrence to Hunter Long from 6 out. It was 10-3. That was when the game came to a pause for over an hour for the weather delay. When they came back, no one was really watching because we're all in the other games now at this point, the late games. But Jacksonville, first play, Etienne for 71 yards to the 20. 3 plays later, Brian Thomas Jr. in from 9 on the misdirection, 17-3, Jacksonville. Then Carolina, 3rd and 10 at the Jacksonville 39. This is still late second quarter, deep into the afternoon. Bryce tackled by Aluakon. He fumbles. Jordan Lewis recovers. And then Jacksonville would get an extra field goal there, 20-3 at the half. Then in the third quarter, Jacksonville 2nd and 24 at their own 17. Trevor Lawrence was picked by J.C. Horn. Great catch. Carolina was set up at the Jacksonville 38, but 4th and 5 at the Jacksonville 33. Bryce incomplete, intended for Tet McMillan. 23-3 now at this point. Carolina 4th and 10 at the Jacksonville 32. Bryce throws an embarrassing Will Levis-like pick 6, but he's bailed out by a defensive hold. Next play, Bryce to Hubbard for 27. Cosmetic touchdown, 23-10. It would end 26-10. Etienne Jr., 16 for 143, a 378 to 255 total yards advantage for the Jaguars. Also for the Jaguars, Wyatt. And then there's Cincinnati. A lot of people had Cincinnati in Survivor as well. Not a lot because of what's happened in the past with Cincinnati in Survivor, most notably weeks 1 and 3 of last year. But they're still one of the more popular picks. By the way, the most popular pick in Survivor that lost, the Patriots. You have to go like 6 or 7 teams down the list. Cincinnati yesterday against the Browns. What do you make of this game? Bengals win it somehow. I have no idea how. 17-16. Game started well for the Bengals. 12 plays, 68 yards. Chase Brown in from 5, 7-0 halfway through the first quarter. Cleveland, with their 21st starting quarterback in week 1 in the last 25 years. It's just so bad.
What did they do to deserve this?
Oh, I remember that with Washington until we got the guy. They respond with a 70-yard drive, convert 4th and 1 at the Cincinnati 48, Raheem Sanders for 2. They end up 1st and goal at the Cincinnati 4, 2nd and goal at the 2, 3rd and goal at the 1, finally 4th and goal at the 1. Sanders in from 1, 7-7, early second quarter. Couple punts later, Cincinnati set up at their own 46 to Jamar for 20, the biggest chunk. Eventually Burrow to Fant from 1 out, 14-7, Bengals, 4:18 left in the second quarter. All good, right? Then Andre Schmidt, the new Cleveland kicker, he makes a 45-yard field goal, 14-10 Bengals at the half. Second half, Cleveland, 69-yard drive. Flacco matriculating them down the field. 40 years old, doing his thing. To Cedric Tillman from 5 out. Andre Schmidt misses the extra point wide right. So instead of 17-14, it's 16-14 Brownies with 7:20 left in the third quarter. Next time Cleveland has the ball, 2nd and 16 at their own 19. Flacco picked off a deflection by Jordan Battle. Great catch. Cincinnati set up at the Cleveland 34, forced to settle for a McPherson 35-yard field goal. They take the lead, do the Bengals 17-16 with 2:48 left in the third quarter. That would end up being the final score, but not before Bengals Survivor players had to go through this. Cleveland, 4th and 5 at the Cincinnati 39. They eschew the long field goal try. They go for it. Flacco incomplete, intended for Judy. Still So with 14-13 left in the fourth quarter. Later in the game, Cleveland takes over the Cincinnati 42, down 1 with 6:56 left. They get it to 1st and 10 at the 13 with 4:31 left. They're 13 yards away from punching it in. They're in easy field goal range. No gain. 1 yard. Then a sack. So they roll out Andre Schmidt for the go-ahead field goal. 36 yards, no good. He missed an extra point and a go-ahead field goal. Cleveland would get the ball back. 2nd and 1 at their own 42 with 90 seconds left. Flacco picked by DJ Turner. Cleveland would get it again, but that one was futile because it was at the 1 with 19 seconds left. An impossible task. They don't do anything with it besides a 25-yard pickup to Judy. And somehow Cincinnati holds on. Burrow, 14 of 23 for 113.
Disgusting.
Joe Burrow, 113 yards passing in the victory. Cleveland out first downed the Bengals, if you will, 22-11. They outgained the Bengals 327-141, but plus 2 in turnovers were the Bengals, and one missed extra point and 1 missed field goal attempt was the difference in the game. Special teams, and Cincinnati somehow holds on. Jacksonville, Cincinnati, I'll just make it Cincinnati -3, the standard here, because I wouldn't know what else to make it.
Yeah, you're pretty close on that one. Right now, DraftKings Bengals -3.5.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about yesterday that made him think that half is deserved, but
That was just, I mean, as somebody who bet the Bengals, who has multiple players on fantasy, has Joe Burrow's my quarterback, that was not a good effort. But at the end, they won. It could easily been a loss, and they could have been exactly where they were the last couple of years.
They banked a win. That's all that matters.
Hey, a win is a win.
A win is a win. But, man. And by the way, we'll get to the Browns. I don't think they looked all that bad. We'll get to more guessing lines. Looking for value? I don't know if I've found any yet. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The next game we got going on here is going to be Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The New York Football Giants versus not America's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, both teams are 0-1. Giants having lost to Washington yesterday. We talked about it. Russell Wilson ends up 17 of 37 for 168. No touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks. And remember, just the 2 first and goals at the doorstep where they couldn't get it in. One ending up in a 20-yard field goal, the other just gets stuffed. He led the team in rushing, did Russell Wilson, 8 for 44. But they got outgained by Washington, 432 to 231, including giving up 220 on the ground. All those big names on the front seven, you gave up 220 on the ground. And as we mentioned from Justin Pennick from John Boy earlier, the Giants on 10 different instances held the Commanders to 2nd and 10 or longer. Washington averaged 15 yards per play on those plays. 21-6 Washington victory. And then there's Dallas. We already talked about this Friday. Dallas loses to Philadelphia in a game that Dallas could have and perhaps should have won, where you had every team scoring every time they touched it until the weather delay, and then the game just completely fizzled, and somehow a miraculous under happened in that game as well. Philadelphia beating Dallas after it was 21-20 Philly at the half. I'll say Dallas minus 6.5 at home, hosting the Giants.
Right now, DraftKings has it. You're about a point off. Cowboys minus 5.5.
Okay. What's next?
Up next, we have the Chicago Bears versus the Detroit Lions.
Okay, Chicago sight unseen. Chicago plays the Vikings tonight. And by the way, I'll say this again later on the show, but I feel like this is a bizarro must-win situation tonight. There's never a must-win situation in Week 1, obviously, but I feel like Chicago-Minnesota tonight is a bizarro must-win because the loser might be already lighting the fire to a spiral. So Chicago we haven't seen yet. Detroit loses, as we mentioned, to Green Bay. Goff, 31 of 39 for 225. A lot of completions for very little yards, a lot of long drives that end in field goals, at least 2 of them anyway. And Detroit did not look as dynamic without Ben Johnson. So correlating the two, as Steve Fezzik said on the Megapod, maybe Ben Johnson is really the real deal. Maybe you should be playing Chicago tonight. That was his point.
I also thought that what was really noticeable for the Lions, and Tony Romo brought it up on the broadcast, was the loss at the offensive line position.
Yes.
There was a lot of pressure in the interior O-line that was in Goff's face that made him throw the ball just that extra second, and that extra second can really make or break a drive.
Yep. Beginning with the Ragnow retirement.
Yep.
I'll say Detroit minus 6.5. It can't be lower than that, right?
Oh,
sight unseen.
It is lower right now on DraftKings. We've got Lions minus 4.5.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, that feels like something I might want to jump on before we see the Bears tonight, in case the Bears look bad. That's low. Boy, so the Lions are getting very little respect with that.
I think it's like we said, the Week 1 overreaction.
Yeah,
and I think
wow, that's funny.
I really don't think that the Lions played bad. I just thought that the Packers played that great. Yeah. I mean, defensively in the second half, the Lions really shut down Green Bay. Offensively, you just kind of have to find that consistency with the protection in the offensive line, and obviously with the new offensive coordinator. But I didn't think it was to a point where they're only minus 4.5. If this was a game last year, they would have been at least, what do you think, 6, 7?
That's the most interesting line to me so far. Only 4.5 on that. Let's try to squeeze in one more here.
Alrighty, since Wyatt messed up the rundown here, we got to turn around. We're going to do Patriots versus Dolphins.
Patriots lose to the Raiders. Dolphins get destroyed by the Colts. First of all, Patriots game. Raiders, 6 plays, 66 yards to start. Geno to Trey Tucker for 26 touchdowns, 7-0 Raiders early first quarter. Then 2nd and 10th at New England 40. Geno picked off a deflection by Jalen Hawkins. New England will get the ball. 12 plays, 77 yards. Made it to Mario Douglas from 3 outs, 7-7 late first quarter. Later, Andy Borrejales would go wide right on a 40-yard field goal try. New England, again later, set up by a Las Vegas PI on a 4th-and-1 play from the Las Vegas 47, eventually settled for a Borregales 35-yard field goal. 10-7 New England, late second quarter. Carlson would try a 58-yarder in the rain. It would go wide left. 10-7 New England at the half. Third quarter, all Raiders. New England, 2nd and 7 at their own 48. May picked by Isaiah Polamau. Vegas, Geno to Jacoby for 23, then to Jacoby for 19. Tack on an unnecessary roughness, and Las Vegas goes from their own 30 to New England 14 in 2 plays. 3 plays later, Gentian from 3, Ashton Genty's first touchdown in this league. 14-10 Raiders, 9:39 left third quarter. Later, Geno to Mayer for 11, then to Bowers for 38. Bowers would later hurt his knee. Later to Mayer for 12. What a tight end. Embarrassment of riches for Geno. But they have to settle for a Carlson 51-yarder, 17-10 Las Vegas, closing seconds of the third quarter. Fourth quarter, 4th-and-1 for Vegas at the New England 38. Geno to Mayer for 8 across his body. That's when Bowers would have the knee injury would be announced. That led to a Carlson 40-yard field goal, 20-10 Raiders with 6:46 left. Then a curious Mike Vrabel decision to punt, 4th and 10 at their own 44 with 4:53 left. Down 10. Interesting. Geno to Dante Thornton for 36. They would have to punt those still. New England eventually got it back own 20 with 1:48 to go, down 10. They convert a 4th and 2 along the way, and they kick a Borregales 44-yard field goal to cut it to 7. But the onside kick with 19 seconds left fails, and Vegas wins it by 7. Miami, oh my God, 3-0 Colts when 3rd and 8 at the Indy 40. Tua airmail pick by Cam Bynum. Indy would go 14 plays, 84 yards. Jones to Pittman for 27, 10-0 Colts early second quarter. Miami, second play of the drive. Tua sacked by Kenny Moore, fumbles. Xavier Howard recovers. Indy set up at the Miami 42. Jones to Adonai Echad for 18, then to Ali Cox for 20. 3 plays later, Jones in from 1, 17-0 Colts. 12:01 left, second quarter. Miami punt, 2 sacks of Tua at that point in that drive, 3 for the game. Indy started their own 12 with 6:46 left in the second quarter. They matriculate and milk it. Leads to Schrader, 35-yard field goal, 20-0 Indy at the half, 255-43 in total yards at the break. Indy, 4 possessions and 4 scores at this point for the first time since the Manning-led Colts in 2006. Miami, lowest first-half offensive output since at least 1991, and it would just get worse in the second half. Miami 3rd and 3 at the Indy 49. Tua picked by Laiatu Latu, who dropped back in coverage. Indy first play, Jones to Alec Pierce for 36. Great spinning catch. Forced to settle for a Schrader field goal, 23-0. Miami 4th and 6. Tua incomplete, intended for Tanner Connor. 4th and 1 at the Miami 17. Jones converts. Next play, Ashton Doolin from 15 to the doorstep. 2 plays later, Jones in from 1. 30-0. It would end 33-8 after a garbage touchdown. We'll get to the historic note on this momentarily. But I'll say Miami -3 at home versus New England.
A little bit lower, we've got Dolphins -1.5 on DK.
Yeah, it's probably a bad guess for me. That makes more sense. Back to the Dolphins here for a second. I was guessing the Dolphins-Patriots line, I said 3. I'll do the opposite of the Chrissy Andrews thing. Your line is better. I like your line better.
Thank you very much. I worked very hard on it.
Mine was the actual line. Mine was a bad guess. But the Dolphins, clearly the worst team we saw this week. Thus far, Vikings and Bears are going to try to avoid that distinction tonight. I don't know how Mike McDaniel lasts to week 4. I think he's got about 1 or 2 more games of this, and then it's donezo. And I've always said with him, because he's quirky and nerdy, the football establishment will be more than eager to move him along if things don't go well. Like, it's all great to be quirky when things are going well, but as soon as they go bad, they're much more likely to get rid of a guy like that because he doesn't fit central casting.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I thought the Dolphins had the worst performance. I don't think that the Vikings or Bears could get anywhere close to that, but you remember, what was the talk about the Colts going up into this season? You guys are starting Daniel Jones. Everybody's remembering what he did in New York. They felt like, wow, they kind of just punted on the season, and they beat them up and down the field. JVT was here on Live Bet Sunday, and he was doing a couple victory laps. The Colts looked really good, but man, the Dolphins, they are in for, I think, a tough year. And I wonder also, when does the divorce happen with them and Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek not happy on the sidelines.
Next game we got coming up here is going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The San Francisco 49ers taking on the New Orleans Saints.
Okay, this game was another one. San Francisco ends up beating Seattle, but it wasn't easy because of special teams. San Francisco started great. From their own 5, they go 95 yards. Purdy to Pearsall, the biggest chunk. Eventually Purdy to Kittle on 3rd and goal from the 5, 7-0 Niners late first quarter. Seattle 4th and 3 at the San Francisco 4. Darnold throws it way high and out of bounds. They still call PI. The announcers say nothing. Upton Stout on Cooper Kupp. Next play, Charbonnet in from 1, 7-7, early second quarter. It's like the ball was 10 yards out of bounds. Well, okay, maybe not 10, but like 7 yards out of bounds. What are we doing? We're not calling that anymore? San Francisco, few drives later. Purdy to Juszczyk for 25, the big play. They have to settle for a Moody 27-yard field goal try. 27. Doinks it off the left upright. It remains 7-7, 57 seconds left in the second quarter.
I'm a big Jake Moody guy. Went to Michigan, and I text Stormy Bonatoni about him all the time, and Isaiah Wrinkle. Both of them texted me within 30 seconds about how this guy sucks.
Kittle ruled out of the rest of the game at that point. Seattle from their own 20. Darnold to Jackson, Smith, and Jigba for 22. The big chunk set up a Jason Myers 48-yard field goal. 10-7 Hawks at the half. San Francisco. Third quarter, first drive, 1st and 10 at the Seattle 39. Purdy picked by a leaping Ernest Jones of the 4th. That leads to nothing. Later, 4th and 2 at the Seattle 30 for the Niners. Again, down 3. Purdy to Luke Farrell for 4 and holds on when Ernest Jones pops him. Leads to a Moody 36-yard field goal try. Blocked by Julian Love. It remains 10-7 Seattle. 2:14 left in the third quarter. Seattle then, 2nd and 8 at the San Francisco 45. Darnold to JSN. Hit by Sam Okuayuno. Messed up that name. Okuayonuno fumbles, recovered by Marcus Seigel. San Francisco matriculates. They convert a 4th and 2 at the Seattle 14. Purdy to McCaffrey, but they have to settle for a Moody 32-yard field goal. This time he makes it 10-10 with 9:42 left. Next time San Francisco has the ball, 2nd and 13 at their own 27. Purdy with a terrible throw into coverage, picked by Josh Jobe. Seattle set up at the San Francisco in San Francisco territory with 7:01 left. They get it to 4th and 1 at the San Francisco 19 with 3:28 left. They opt for a Myers 37-yard field goal. Don't know if they should have done that. 4th and 1 at the 19. 13-10 Seattle. They're playing to lose. Not to win, I should say, more accurately. San Francisco then down 3. 2nd and 9 at their own 33. Purdy to Pearsall for 45 to the Seattle 22 with 2:30 to go. 3rd and 3 at the Seattle 4. Purdy running for his life, extends the play, throws it into the end zone. Looks like it's going to be picked. Instead, Jake Tonga snags it in the air. Touchdown. San Francisco 17-13 with 1:34 to go. And then Seattle matriculates. Darnold to JSN for 11. 2 plays later, perfect Darnold pass to Smith and Jigba to go to the San Francisco 14 with 1:06 left. Then a neutral zone infraction. Seattle with 1 timeout. 2nd and 4 from the 9. They're down 4. But Nick Bosa pushes Lucas, the offensive lineman, into Darnold. He fumbles. Bosa recovers. Ball game. Unbelievable. San Francisco holds on in a game that they dominated. 384 to 230 in total yards, but the 2 Moody misses. And then New Orleans loses to Arizona. A lot of people had Arizona in Survivor. This is one of these games that I don't know how good Arizona was. Kellen Moore had a blunder at the end of the second half. He's a Dumbo of the Week candidate on the Megapod. That was it was a 10-10 game. Arizona ended up with the ball deep in New Orleans territory. Kellen Moore had all of his timeouts. He just chose not to use them. He let Arizona bleed the clock in a goal-to-go situation. Connor in from 4, 17-10 Arizona. In the closing seconds of the second quarter, New Orleans couldn't do anything with it with only 28 seconds left. And then in the third quarter, Ryland field goal made it 20-10. It was 20-13 when Ryland missed a field goal, he got a field goal blocked late in this game. But New Orleans couldn't get to the game-tying touchdown. They had a 1st and 10 at the Arizona 18 with 14 seconds left. Incomplete. The third down play was into the end zone, and it looked like Juwan Johnson had it for what could have been the game-tying score after the extra point, but Budda Baker knocked it out of his hands. 4th down incomplete, and Arizona holds on to a 7-point win. The only one of the top 10 chosen plays in Circa Millions that got there, and it got there by a half a point. San Francisco at New Orleans. I will say San Francisco, I'll put it in no man's land, -5.5 on the road at New Orleans.
DraftKings has it just a little bit higher right now. 49ers are -6.5.
-6.5. Okay. Spencer Rattler, by the way, 27 of 46 in defeat for 214. Brock Purdy for the Niners, 26 of 35 for 277. McCaffrey, 69 on the ground, 73 catching. Pearsall, 4 for 108 receiving. But Moody, 1 of 3. And that's why that total yards advantage barely got home for the Niners. Coming back, more guessing lines. What's next?
All right, here we go. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets.
Okay, we finally gotten here. This game last night, for those who watched it, and if you didn't, if you went to sleep, I'm so sorry. But this game last night, not only the best game of the weekend, but I'm hard-pressed to imagine we'll get a better game than this or a more improbable win for the rest of the season.
I tweeted that out yesterday. I was like, that was one of the best games I've ever seen.
Buffalo at the Jets. I don't even know if we're going to get to the Jets-Pittsburgh game because that was a great game too, but let's go through this last night because this is just incredible. Buffalo set up by a Brandon Codrington 41-yard kickoff return, 50-yard scoring drive. Allen to Kincaid from 15 out, 7-0 Bills, 11:19 left in the first quarter. Tyler Loop would kick a 52-yard field goal. By the way, when you saw that it wasn't Justin Tucker, did you have a split second when you're like, who the? Oh, yeah, that's right. Did you do that in your head?
No, because I'd seen him before in the preseason.
I did. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. Tyler Loop, 52-yard field goal, 7-3 Buffalo, 3:38 left in the first quarter. Buffalo would have a 3-and-out. Baltimore then, Lamar, big 18-yard run on 3rd and 4 at the Buffalo 48. Then Henry discards Cole Bishop. See ya. In from 30, 10-7 Baltimore, 13:35 left in the second quarter. Another Buffalo 3-and-out. Baltimore, 4 plays, 69 yards. Henry for 49. Second play into the 4-yard drive. Play drive, pardon me. Lamar in from 11, 2 plays later, 17-7 Baltimore, 9:47 left in the second quarter. Prater would add a field goal, 27-yarder to make it 17-10 Baltimore with 2:50 left in the quarter. And then later, Baltimore had to settle for a Loop 49-yard field goal to make it 20-10 Baltimore with 31 seconds left in the second quarter. Okay, now we begin the list of things that Buffalo did or that went Buffalo's way that made this win possible. And it is a laundry list of impossible. All right, so it's 20-10. Let's start with this one. 20-10 Baltimore, 31 seconds left in the second quarter. Buffalo, 25 seconds left from their own 27. Allen to Khalil Shakir for 26. Then 2 plays later with 7 seconds left, Allen to Kincaid for 22. Officials say Kincaid's butt hits out of bounds with 1 second left on the clock. Tirico insists it was clear. I don't know if it was or not, because right as his butt touched, it went from 1-0. But Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth all night just were like, hey, trust us, this went Buffalo's way, let's move on.
They brought up a good point that it didn't get to the rules committee, but adding 1/10 of a second to the clocks for the NFL might have helped.
Might have helped. Anyway, they get the field goal, and sure enough, Prater puts it through the uprights, 43 yards, 20-13 Baltimore at the half. And you're thinking, okay, well, they got the best of that one. What could possibly go wrong? Henry, 9 carries for 123 yards and a touchdown in the first half. Third quarter, 20-13, Baltimore goes right to work again. 3rd and 7 their own 38, Lamar to Zay. Zay Flowers for 39. Next play to Zay from 23 out, 27-13 Baltimore, 12:48 left third quarter. Buffalo starts at their 40. With a kickoff shy of the landing zone. 4th and 5 at the Baltimore 31. Jair Alexander PI on Josh Palmer. Sets up a 1st and goal at the 6. Allen for 4, Cookin for the touchdown. And Buffalo cuts it to 27-19 with 7:47 left in the third quarter. At which point, the extra point is good, but 12 men on the field on defense. So Buffalo decides to go for 2 from the 1. Allen in shotgun to Keon Coleman in the end zone. He catches it, but he stepped out of bounds and was first to touch the ball. So it remains 27-19. Baltimore. Then Baltimore and Buffalo exchange punts. Baltimore up 8. First play, Lamar to Zay for 36 to the Buffalo 32. Zay Flowers was unbelievable yesterday. 2 plays later, Lamar to Hopkins. What a throw. What a catch. One-handed grab by Hopkins. Touchdown from 29 out. 34-19 Baltimore with 1:09 left in the third quarter. You know, one of these moments in the game where you're like, Buffalo can't stop these guys. There's no way they're catching them. First target as a Raven, Lamar correctly then shoves a fan in the front row after the fan slaps and shoves D-Hop on the head, then tries to slap and shove Lamar's head too, and Lamar shoves him back. I couldn't have been more thrilled for Lamar at that moment, even though he'll probably get fined for it.
I mean, obviously, I think a proper reaction. What was it? Wasn't it like a kid or something that was just leaning?
This is a little pisher thinking he's bigger than the game itself.
Here's the thing. I mean, don't reach over and touch the players.
Don't touch the players. All right, so it's 34-19 Baltimore. Buffalo, 3rd and 6 at their own 47. Allen avoiding the rush, loops it to Cook for 51. Most of that yak to the 2. 2 plays later, Allen in from 2. 2-point conversion fails. Allen threw it to Hamilton, Kyle Hamilton, who plays for the Ravens. It's 34-25 on the failed 2-point conversion. And by the way, Hamilton then lateraled it into the end zone. Luckily, Baltimore got out of the end zone because it could have been a 1-point safety on that lateral back. So Baltimore remains up 9 with 12:51 left. Then Baltimore, 3rd and 10 at their own 35. Lamar driven all the way back to his own 12. This play was incredible by the rush. He escapes, he turns it upfield, 19-yard gain after all is said and done. Next play, Henry, 46-yard scamper to the end zone, turning the corner on Taylor Rapp, a man half his size, and Rapp had an angle. Touchdown. 40-25 Baltimore. Katie bar the door. Everybody go to bed on the East Coast. And now, submission number 2. The extra point doinks off the right upright. 40-25 it remains. 11:42 left in the fourth quarter. Buffalo then punts after a near pick by Awuzie of Allen. One of these picks that they're like, no, it hit the ground. I was like, does replay show that it hit the ground? Are we sure? If it was called an interception, would it have remained an interception? Because I didn't see it really hit the ground. But okay, I'll go with it. Josh Allen then runs, ruled to have started his slide before the sticks. Tarico Collinsworth, and who was the referee consultant guy?
Terry McCauley.
Terry McCauley really wanted you to know that Allen, the football was beyond the line. At no point ever have we ever had a quarterback start his slide and anybody say that about anybody else. No, he started his slide before the stick. Stop it. I love Josh Allen, but you guys got to stop it with this. All right, so 3rd and 1, they hold him. Then Allen is sacked by Nnamdi Madubuike. 4th and 16 at their own 37, down 15 with 9:27 left. Buffalo decides to punt. Interesting. Baltimore then 3 and out. Add this to the improbable. It's a perfect punt that looks like it's going to get down at the 3, 2, or 1, but Trenton Simpson botches it, slides into the end zone, I think. Another one where it's like, are we sure that he did? We're convinced of this, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and everybody? I don't know if I was. But they say he didn't. Touchback. Buffalo, 4th and 2 at the Baltimore 10 on the subsequent drive. Clear hold uncalled. Allen to Coleman off a deflection. Touchdown. Add that to the list. So we're up to 4 off a deflection. Extra point this time, 40-32 Baltimore with 3:56 left in the fourth quarter. Baltimore 1st and 10 at their own 41. Henry gets the ball dislodged by Ed Oliver, and this is when you're like, oh my God, Buffalo's going to pull this off. Terrell Bernard recovers at the Baltimore 30 with 3:06 left. Buffalo, Allen to Jackson Hawes for 29 to the 1. 1st and goal, he's stuffed. 2nd and goal, Cook is stuffed, but 3rd and goal at the 2-minute warning. Allen reaches over Drew Brees style. 40-38 Baltimore. 2-point conversion fails. Intended for Coleman, broken up by Nate Wiggins. But Baltimore 3rd and 9 at their own 32 with 1:40 left. To Hopkins for 7. The Bills using all their timeouts now in this sequence. So 4th and 2 at their own 39 with 1:33 left now. The Bills are out of timeouts. The Ravens are up 2, and they decide to punt. I don't know about that decision, y'all. Buffalo gets it from their own 20. You know what's coming. With 1:26 left, no timeouts. Josh Allen just goes through the Ravens defense like it's not even there. 2nd and 10 at their own 34. Allen to Joshua Palmer for 32 to the Baltimore 34. Allen to Coleman for 25. Here's another one. Tackled by Jair Alexander. He shouldn't have tackled him. But of course, in the moment, he's not thinking that. To the Baltimore 9, 38 seconds left. Buffalo starts taking knees, exhausting Baltimore's timeouts. And then you have a situation, Buffalo 3rd and goal at the Baltimore 12, down 2 with 33 seconds left. Neither team has a timeout left. So you don't really have a fire drill situation, but you have this pseudo fire drill, like a really calm fire drill with the clock going down. Prater, 32-yard field goal at the buzzer. I do not know how Kyle Hamilton did not block this. And if you look at Kyle Hamilton, he can't believe he didn't block it. It goes through 41-40 Bills in an impossible, miraculous win. And oh boy, might that have tiebreaker implications at the end of the season for home field.
I know it's week 1 and you still got a long way to go, but that just feels like just such a devastating gut punch loss for the Ravens that you feel like it's going to take a while to overcome. Like that game was in in there, they could taste the victory.
For those of us who had Baltimore bets, this is like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And for them, they've got to be able to show that they're true Super Bowl contenders. They can't beat the Chiefs and they can't beat the Bills.
Buffalo, 497 total yards. Josh Allen was 16 of 21 for 251 and a touchdown in the fourth quarter alone. Let me repeat that. In the fourth quarter alone, Josh Allen was 16 of 21 for 251 and a touchdown. He ended up 33 of 46 for 394 with 2 touchdowns and no picks. And oh, by the way, 2 touchdowns on the ground as well. We didn't even get to Buffalo and the Jets, so we will on the other side. So the Jets and the Steelers, this game, I mean, again, what did you think? The lowest line game in terms of the total, just as an offensive juggernaut game. 3-0 Jets early. Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers, 4 for 5 on the first drive for the Steelers. 1 incompletion, and the only incompletion, a drop by DK Metcalf. 10-play, 71-yard drive. Rodgers to Ben Skoranek for 22. 7-3 Pittsburgh, 3:38 left in the first. Then the Jets, after a Xavier Gibson 40-yard kickoff return, 6 plays, 55 yards. Fields to Wilson from 33 out, touchdown. Ohio State teammates back together. Pittsburgh illegal formation on the missed extra point. Jets go for 2 and fail 9-7 Jets. Closing seconds of the first quarter. Boswell would kick a 56-yarder, portent of things to come, to make it 10-9 Pittsburgh early second quarter. But the Jets, 7 plays, 68 yards. Fields to Brees for 33. The big one, 3 plays later. Braylon Allen in from 8, 16-10 Jets with 10:03 left in the second quarter. Next time Jets would get the ball, Folk would add a 51-yard field goal. 19-10 Jets with 2:54 left in the second quarter. And then Pittsburgh on a drive that featured Rodgers to Calvin Austin for 30. Then a beautiful Rodgers to Austin 21-yard connection down to the Jets 3. 2 plays later, Jono in from 3. It's 19-17 Jets. 32 seconds left in the second quarter. Jets would try to matriculate, but unnecessary roughness on offense when the Jets objected to Fields getting hit sets them back. By the way, the announcers, and someone will have to tell me who they were, are like, oh boy, you got to show them that you don't like that. That's actually a good move by the Jets to show them you don't like it when you hit their quarterback. No, it's a dumb move because it prevented them from matriculating the ball down the field and getting some points. Stop with the nonsense football coach narrative. Oh, that's a good thing. They sent a message. Well, no, it wasn't. It's also stupid.
It's a legal hit.
Exactly.
You got to play football.
Jets' second drive of the second half. Remember, they're up 2 points. 68-yard drive. Brees for 17. Fields to Wilson for 21 to the doorstep. The big ones. Fields in from 1. 26-17 Jets with 3:46 left in the third quarter. Rodgers then goes to work. Here's where the game flipped. Rodgers to Warren. Jalen Warren for 17. To DK for 18 on the drive. 4 plays later. The first play of the fourth quarter. Warren from 5 out. It's 26-24 Jets now with 3 seconds into the fourth quarter. Ensuing kickoff. Xavier Gibson fumbles. Recovered by Skoranek. Pittsburgh set up at the Jets 22. Second play in. Rodgers to Calvin Austin from 18 out. 31-26 Pittsburgh with 14:07 left. I don't know if you guys know this about Mike Tomlin, but he's never had a losing season. Has that come up on the show before? Jets matriculate. 4th and goal to 1. Fields naked bootleg to the right. No one near him. Touchdown. Jets retake the lead. 32-31. 7:01 left in the game. 2-point try fails. Fields to a blanketed Wilson in the corner of the end zone. A couple punts later. Pittsburgh down 1 now from their own 19 with 3:13 to go. 2 completions and a PI. One of those completions, an amazing 11-yard hookup to Metcalf, where it hit him first. It bounced off Jonnu Smith and back to DK on the ground. With those three plays, the 2 catches and the PI, the Steelers are in business at the Jets 41. But they stall from there. Decision time. 4th and 11 at the Jets 42. Down a point. Boswell, 60-yard field goal. They decide, they're like, we're going to kick the field goal because we have Chris Boswell. And in a day where field goal kicking was terrible, Chris Boswell remains Chris Boswell. Bang. That thing would have been good from 67.
Correct me if I'm wrong, going to the Megapod, was one of the props did Steve Fezzik talk about taking the over on Boswell's field goals?
Something to do with over on field goals. I
thought he did Boswell.
Maybe he did. By the way, Jets did get the ball back, right? From their own 31 with 56 seconds left. They're down 2. But the 4th play, 4th and 3 at their own 38, 25 seconds to go. Fields to Wilson and Jalen Ramsey, Sean Taylor's Wilson. Ball pops out at incomplete. Ball game. Steelers win because they just do that. The Jets outgained Pittsburgh 394 to 271. Fields 16 of 22 for 218 in defeat. Aaron Rodgers in victory, we'll get to later. But he had himself a great game, and he was not mincing words afterwards. I like to show everybody in the Jets organization that I could still play. So this is back to last segment. This is the Bills at the Jets, finally. And I'll put it at the Bills -6.5.
Pretty close on this one. DK has it at -7 for Buffalo.
Okay, so the only line so far that I'm looking to bet, I'm shocked Detroit is only, I get it, we haven't seen Chicago yet. I'm amazed Detroit is only a 4.5 point favorite over Chicago. We've downgraded them that much so far? All right, let's continue. What's next?
Next game we have
Actually, let's do one more.
This one will be pretty easy. In the 1 p.m. Game slot here, Seahawks versus the Steelers.
Seahawks, we already talked about Darnold in defeat, 16 of 23 for 150. Smith-Njigba, though, 9 catches for 124. He did lose a fumble. The Seahawks were outgained 384 to 230 by San Francisco, and they were out time of possession, if you will, 37-58 to 22-02. And then Rodgers, as we were just talking about, 22 of 30 for 244, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He was sacked 4 times because the man is not mobile anymore. Outgained by the Jets, 394 to 271, and they still won their game. Seattle at Pittsburgh. I will say Pittsburgh by 3 in the hook, -3.5.
About a point. Well, it was Steelers -3 when we entered this in earlier today, but it just went down to -2.5.
So it's going the opposite way of what I guessed.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, I will say I thought Rodgers, if you're getting that performance by Aaron every week, you feel really good as a Steelers fan. But if you're getting that performance from your defense every week, you're very nervous as a Steelers fan. I mean, New York chewed them up.
Listen, I had Pittsburgh against the Jets here. They won, but they did not cover.
I had them too.
But I'll say the same thing I did before that game. And I know I didn't cover in that one, but I'll say it again here. I can't believe this is lower than 3. This is a play for me. Pittsburgh. You're telling me that's lower than 3? Seattle's defense was good, but they also benefited from Moody missing 2 field goals against them. They got outgained terribly by the Niners. I don't get it. The disrespect for the Lions and the Steelers here is very curious to me. We'll come back, more guessing lines, looking for value. 2 so far as I see it. Hope you're playing along in your head.
Last of the 1 p.m. Eastern slate, we have the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens.
Right, so speaking of both of these teams, Cleveland losing improbably based on the total yardage and how this game went with the Bengals. 7 second-half yards for the Bengals. At the Ravens, who lose the most ridiculous game you won't see a more incredible comeback and a more improbable loss. At one point, the Bills were 40-1 in game to win this game at 40-25. That said, I'll say Cleveland, by the way, Flacco, 31 of 45 for 290 in defeat. They were out first downed. They out first downed Cincinnati 22-11. They outgained Cincinnati 327-141, but -2 in turnovers and 1 missed extra point and 1 missed field goal by Schmidt doomed them. And Baltimore, Lamar in defeat, 14 of 19 for 209 with 2 touchdown passes, no picks, 6 for 70 and a touchdown on the ground. Henry, 18 for 169 and 2 touchdowns, but the key, the fumble lost. Zay Flowers, 7 catches for 143 and a touchdown. Henry, 3 30-yard-plus runs for the first time in his career, and Baltimore had 16 plays of 10-plus yards and 8 plays of 20-plus yards in this game, and they lost. Baltimore -10.5 versus Cleveland.
A little bit higher on that. DraftKings has the Ravens at -11.5.
Okay. Next
here, we're going to go to the 4:05 Eastern Time. Broncos at the Colts.
Broncos beat the Titans, much to the happiness of survivors. They hold on in a game that was just improbably a sweat. At Indianapolis, Indianapolis just absolutely rolls the Dolphins, as we discussed. Knicks for Denver in victory, 25 of 40 for 176. The Denver D, though, sacked Cam Ward 6 times. They held Tennessee to 7 first downs and 2 of 14 on third down plays for the Tennessee offense. And Denver outgained Tennessee 317 to 133, but were -2 in turnovers, gave up the big kickoff return. Sean Payton was not on his game, and it was a sweat, but Denver got it done. In Indianapolis, as we mentioned, outgained Miami 418 to 211. They were +3 in turnovers. Daniel Jones, 22 of 29 for 272 1 touchdown, no picks, 7 carries for 26 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jones, the only quarterback to lead 7 drives that all led to scores. First team, as I said, since 1977 to accomplish that feat. Denver, I'm going to go to some of the preseason priors. Denver by 1.5. We'll split the difference between a pick 'em and the 3.
About a point higher on DraftKings. Broncos minus 2.5.
Sounds right. Next.
All right, up next, we've got the Carolina Panthers versus the Arizona Cardinals.
Bryce Young in defeat. Carolina losing to Jacksonville in the game no one watched because of the weather delay. 18 of 35 for 154, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and he had a fumble lost, 2 turnover advantage for the Jags. 378 to 255 total yards disadvantage for the Panthers. And then Arizona, we talked about, held on for dear life to beat the Saints, much to the happiness of Arizona Survivor players. Kyler, 21 of 29 for 163, 2 touchdowns, no picks, but he was sacked 5 times. And Marvin Harrison, 5 for 71 and a touchdown. I'll say Arizona minus 7.
Pretty close. Cardinals minus 6.5.
Still didn't get to 7. All right, let's do one more.
All righty, this one, big one here in the 4:25 p.m. Eastern. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, so this features 2 teams that played on Thursday and Friday night. We talked about Philly on Friday, beating Dallas. Again, the game where Philly and Dallas couldn't stop scoring, and then the weather delay happened, and they could never score again. Philly holds on to win. After last night, you got to put improbable, the word improbable, in context. But Philly perhaps could have, maybe even should have lost that game to Dallas. Kansas City Friday night, in case you missed it. I don't know how you felt about this game Friday. I just thought it was such a lackluster game. I had trouble keeping, I don't know if this was a Friday night, but I was just like, oh God, this seems lackluster. But for those who missed it, Xavier Worthy got hurt really quickly in that game on the first Kansas City 3-and-out to start. Chargers built a 10-0 lead, got to 10-3 after a Butker field goal. And then the Chargers, 3rd and 16 at the Kansas City 26 in the last minute. Omarion Hampton ran out of bounds, remember, where he shouldn't have late in the first half. So Dicker's 36-yard field goal to put the Chargers up 13-3 quickly led to it being 13-6 because they left Mahomes time on the clock. Real brain fart there by Hampton. Jim Harbaugh took all the blame for it, for the rook. And Mahomes immediately 38 yards to Tyquan Thornton and eventually a fire drill Butker 59-yard field goal good.
That was impressive.
To make it 13-6. Again, a lot of great late first half, drives for some of these teams. The Chiefs would get it to 13-12, but Butker missed the PAT early in the third quarter, and from that point forward, it was mainly Chargers. They extended it to 20-12. It got to 20-18, but a 2-point conversion failed, so the Chiefs got it within 2 early fourth quarter, and then it was the Chargers show. Herbert to Johnston, Quentin Johnston from 22 out, 27-18. The Chiefs would have to settle for a Butker field goal to close it 27-21. But then Casey, with all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, they got the Chargers in a 3rd and 14 situation. Herbert ran it for 19 yards unmolested when Chris Jones didn't keep the edge, went inside, and Herbert ran around him, and the Chargers hold on for victory. Mahomes was 24 of 39 in defeat for 258. This is the Eagles at the Chiefs. Great afternoon game with the Eagles at 1-0 and the Chiefs at home at 0-1. I'm going to, based on the Super Bowl, right, which is going to be first and foremost in the market's mind here, I would imagine, in addition to last week's games. The Eagles have to be favored, just not by the full 3. I'll say split the difference minus 1.5.
Right now at DraftKings, the Eagles are favored by a 0.5 point. I don't know if I've ever seen that.
That's
that spread before.
Minus a 0.5 point.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so still I'm all about the, so far, the Lions and the Steelers.
Totally glossed over that. Yeah, this is a Super Bowl rematch.
Yeah, Super Bowl rematch. Where
totally forgot about that.
Where the Eagles absolutely rolled the Chiefs, of course. Chiefs having been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls and 9 consecutive AFC West titles.
Now, I don't like using the term must win, but for the Chiefs, I mean, you got to get this one. You don't want to start 0-2, and obviously the talks are, hey, dynasty's over. You guys are in a lot of trouble.
No, I hear what you're saying. I mean, you never want to start 0-2. If as soon as you start 0-2, the mainstream media correctly starts rolling out the stats.
Yep.
Here's how few teams make the playoffs when you go 0-2. When you get to 0-3, it gets even more stark. And I think there's only one team in history that started 0-4 and made the playoffs. I want to say it's a Chargers team. San Diego Chargers team back in the day. That might have even been, was that a Super Bowl team that the Chargers Super Bowl team started 0-4, or was it a different Chargers team? But so, yeah, you're right, Wyatt, in that sense. But this is the Kansas City Chiefs, and nothing feels must win. But who knows? I mean, 0-2 is 0-2, right? You can't get those games back. Yes.
1992 San Diego Chargers started out 0-4, finished out the season 11-5.
Okay, there you go. 1992 Chargers started 0-4, got to the playoffs. That was not the Super Bowl team, though.
No, that was 94.
Yes, that was 94 with Stan Humphrey. More games to get to. I think one, if my count is correct, we have one more afternoon game and then the 2 primetime games?
No, we have the Sunday night game and then 2 Monday night games.
Oh, Sunday night and 2 Monday night. Forgot about that. Week 2 of the National Football League. Looking for more value. Week 2 of the NFL. It's Guessing Lines on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
All right, we've got the Sunday night game for Week 2. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings.
So Minnesota sight unseen. They play the Bears tonight. Atlanta against Tampa Bay, the aforementioned game. We haven't gone to this yet. 3-play drive to start it for Atlanta. Penix to Bijan for 50 to the house. Mostly yak, 7-0. Falcons less than 2 minutes in. Let's go. Everybody's on the Falcons like, I told you. Later, Tampa Bay 4th and 1 at their own 36. Baker to Evans for 6. Eventually leads to a McLaughlin 48-yard field goal. 7-3 Falcons early second quarter. Atlanta then 4th and 1 at the Tampa Bay 47. Bijan stuffed. Tampa Bay set up at their own 47. 5 plays. Baker to Emeka Egbuka, who says, hey, offensive rookie of the year. Let me make my first case from 30 out. 10-7 Tampa Bay with 6:53 left in the second quarter. Young Koo would add a 41-yard field goal to tie the game up. It was 10-10 at the half. Second half, Chase McLaughlin misses a 44-yard field goal wide left. Here comes the field goal luck for the Falcons, right, from last year. It's all going to come back to them. 11:42 left in the third quarter. Next time Tampa Bay had the ball, after a 53-yard Cameron Johnson punt return, they're set up at the Atlanta 32. 3rd and 6 at the Atlanta 28 after another drop potential pick. Baker for 20, then 2 plays later, Baker to Bucky Irving, who sneaks it in the pylon. 17-10 Buccaneers, 7:26 left in the third quarter. Then Atlanta drives downfield, but Hassan Reddick sacks Penix on 3rd and 4 at the Tampa Bay 9, forces a 36-yard field goal that banks in. Field goal luck, 17-13 Tampa Bay, closing seconds of the third quarter. Next time Atlanta has the ball, from their own 10, helped by 2 roughing the passer penalties, they get it to 3rd and 1 at the Tampa Bay 2. Algier, 1-yard loss. 4th and 2 at the Tampa Bay 3. Penix, mad dash for the sticks. He lunges, ruled initially as short, then as a possible fumble with 3:01 left. Upon review, first down. Somehow he kept his body airborne and was touched down. 1st and goal at the 1. Bijan sweeps left, loses 3. Man, if you had Atlanta like I did, this was torture to watch. 2nd and goal at the 4, incomplete intended for London. 3rd and goal at the 4, to London, official says incomplete. We see no replay that confirms that. Morris throws the challenge flag because of course he does. There's still no replay to confirm your challenge. 4th and goal, incomplete, but offsetting holding penalties will do it again. Penix flushed out, dives to the end zone. Live, watching it, you're like, there's no chance he got there, and he had to be down. No, there wasn't. Touchdown. Atlanta 20-17 with 2:17 to go. What a game. And then Tampa Bay matriculates to midfield like nothing. 3rd and 9, Baker to Shepard for 10. Then a terrible roughing penalty on Ruke or Horhoro. Next play, Baker to Egbuka from 35 out. Emeka Egbuka. Wow. Second touchdown, 23-20 Tampa with 59 seconds to go. But McLaughlin's extra point doinks off the left upright. Kicking luck again for Atlanta. It's all coming back, right? Oh, boy. And Atlanta matriculates Penix for 12. To Ray McLeod for 24, to Pitts for 14, to Bijan for 6. By the way, that one resulted in what appeared to be a post-next play spike review, but clarification here, the review had already started before they had started the next play. They had already initiated that replay. Then to Pitts for 4. 1st and 10 at the Tampa Bay 26 with 16 seconds left and no timeouts. If you had Atlanta here, you were like, just kick the field goal. Just kick the field goal. What are you doing throwing the ball? Penix he's just giving everybody cardiac arrest. He goes deep twice, 2 incomplete passes into coverage. Finally, Young Koo, so they avoided the interception. Young Koo to tie the game, to put it in overtime. All the field goal luck's coming back their way, right? Field goal has no chance. Looked like one of my golf drives. Like it goes straight for like 100 yards, then it just goes wide right. Well, this was not even that. This was Young Haku halfway looked good, and then it just breaks completely right. And Tampa Bay wins it 23-20. Penix 27 of 42 for 298 in defeat. Bijan 6 catches for 100. Atlanta outgained Tampa Bay 358-260. Another team that outgained their opponent and lost. Without seeing the Vikings tonight yet, I'll say Atlanta's got to be a tick of a favorite against the Vikings. I'll say 1.5 again, splitting the difference.
This might be the farthest off I've ever seen you with a game. Vikings minus 4.5 on DK.
What? Okay, well, we'll see them tonight. So that's the thing. We haven't seen them yet. But like we think this highly of Minnesota? Let's see how J.J. McCarthy plays. Let's see how the Vikings do. That's interesting. All right, we got a couple more games to get to. So what's the primetime schedule then next week?
So next week we have a doubleheader for Monday Night Football.
Okay, so one Sunday night game, which we just went to, which was the Atlanta-Minnesota game. How about the Vikings getting 2 straight primetime games to start the season?
I don't know. It's just that J.J. McCarthy, that Michigan guy. They like to see the Michigan players.
Like, I'll just quote Todd Wishnev. Did anybody watch college football? Did he really carve it up through there?
As a Michigan fan, I refute what Todd said. We'll have to have a one-on-one there.
All right, doubleheader Monday night.
Yes, 7 p.m. Eastern time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Houston Texans.
All right, so Tampa Bay's 1-0. Pardon me. Houston loses to the Rams. They were down 14-9, as we talked about, for most of the second half and could never quite get there. Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield in victory, 17 of 32 for 167, 3 touchdowns, 2 to Egbuka, no picks. He also led the Bucs in rushing, 5 carries for 39 yards. Egbuka, 4 catches for 67, 2 of those touchdowns. And they were outgained by Atlanta, 358-260, no matter. They're 1-0, our Tampa Bay. And then Houston in defeat against the Rams, C.J. Stroud, 19 for 27 for 188. No touchdowns, 1 pick. He was sacked 3 times. I don't know what else to make this but 3 in favor of the Texans here.
Pretty close on this one. DraftKings right now has the Texans at minus 2.5.
Yeah, I don't. Texans are another one. Like, I don't know what to make of either of those 2 games after the Rams Texans. Like, what did that say about the Rams? What did that say about the Texans? I don't know.
You're just waiting for the Texans to make that jump to be all right. When are you going to be from a good team to an elite team to where we think that you have an opportunity to make the Super Bowl? So is their peak the divisional round? Like, at what point do we say that they're a legitimate contender? And yesterday didn't really show that offensively.
In Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they just find a way. I just don't get it. They just find a way. What's the second Monday night game?
It'll be right here in our backyard here in the entertainment capital of the world. The Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders.
2 1-0 teams. The Chargers with extra rest here from Friday night to Monday night. Extra rest over the Raiders, who obviously played yesterday. Justin Herbert in victory against the Chiefs on Friday night, 25 of 34 for 318. Were it not for Josh Allen yesterday, that would look spectacular. Geno also eclipsing 300 yards for the Raiders. Geno was 24 of 34 for 362 yesterday against the Patriots. Herbert, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Geno, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But he's got the tight ends, man. Bowers, who got hurt, 5 for 103. Mayer, pardon me. Oh, no, that is Jacoby Myers, 8 for 97, but Mayer also made a few catches in that game as well. I said Chargers minus 3. I'm starting to think it might be 3 and a hook, but I said 3.
Yep, you're pretty close on your initial guess, but yeah, 3.5.
3.5.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a feeling. As I'm looking at this anew, I'm like, yeah, okay. So recapping then from this entire exercise, and hopefully, again, you played along with it. The point of this is not my guesses, but the point is also your guesses on this. For me, then, the quick reaction, and the reason that we go through this is because historically, and by the way, Tim Lawson, Megapod historian, and really Beating the Book podcast historian, points out to me that guessing lines actually predated the Megapod. So guessing lines is actually even older than Megapod, and Megapod started 2011. So there might have been a guessing lines episode. The very first year was 2010. So maybe there was a guessing lines. But anyway, the point of this, and historically this has been the case, that doing the first reaction to this is usually the best one. And then we spend 5 days or 6 days before the games are played hearing other people's opinions. And we're all human, so you start to think people you respect, oh, well, they say this. I don't know. Oftentimes the first reaction, most of the time the first reaction is the best. So for me, and a couple of these are sight unseen games, so it's a little unfair, right? Detroit only a 4.5-point favorite against, is it the Bears that they're playing?
Yes, the Chicago Bears.
Okay, that was surprising to me. Really? We're downgrading Detroit that much? I know it. We haven't seen the Bears. The other one is Atlanta's a dog, a 4.5-point dog against Minnesota. I'm going to bet that before we see the Vikings play today as well. Keep in mind, part of this is correlated with my preseason handicap. The only two alt-season win totals I made were alt-season unders on both the Bears and the Vikings. So now you understand why I'm flabbergasted by those two lines. And what was the third one again? So the third one also was...
You did, yeah, see, Steelers.
The Steelers.
Yep.
Thank you, Danny Higgins. The Steelers. I get it. The Steelers didn't cover yesterday, and I was on them, even though they won. But I'm surprised. You're telling me that this is 2.5. This is less than 3 with the Steelers here hosting the
Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle Seahawks. Pardon me. I've got so many games on my list here. So Steelers 3.5 point. I guess 3.5. You're telling me it's 2.5. That's a play for me on the Steelers. There was nothing I saw from Pittsburgh. I get Seattle played a good game defensively, but again, they benefited from Jake Moody missing 2 field goals. And San Francisco outgained them. I think Seattle's defense is going to be great all year, but there's nothing about this Pittsburgh defense that I don't think can check Seattle. So I like Pittsburgh. If you tell me that's below 3 points, I don't get it. I'm going to make that bet right now. You?
I think I like the Steelers line. I don't know if are we going to see now the regression of Sam Darnold leaving that great system in Minnesota.
Well, when you don't have Justin Jefferson,
yeah,
everything's a downgrade. Justin Jefferson also, what was that stat that Cleve TA gave us about the Vikings last year? So much went the Vikings' way. 1-score games, right? A bunch of high leverage situation also went their way. But the one thing that was a Viking staple that can actually be attributed directly to Justin Jefferson is they had the most defensive hold or most PIs against them on defense. That's the Justin Jefferson effect. Mm-hmm. And so Darnold doesn't benefit from that. By the way, Jackson Smith and Jigba is phenomenal. Like of all these, Ohio State is basically wide out university with all these guys, right? From Harrison to McLaurin to Wilson, to Smith and Jigba. It goes on and on and on with these guys, even as far back as like Mike Thomas. It's incredible how, remember that interview with, was it Wilson and, who was it? Wilson, Smith, and Jigba, and I can't remember who the third was. I'm slipping who the third was.
They were all in college together. What was that, Danny?
What was that, Danny? Who was the third?
No, it was back when Ohio. I know what you're talking about.
Anyway,
Ohio State,
there were 3 great wide receivers from Ohio State, and they asked the 3 of them, I want an interview, who's the best out of all of you? This is Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I'm forgetting who the third one was, but it wasn't McLaurin, it wasn't Harrison, it was somebody else. And they all pointed to Smith and Jigba. He's phenomenal. I'm not saying he's not, but he's not an outside receiver. He's a slot receiver primarily, and I don't know if Cooper Kupp really has anything left. So yeah, Darnold.
Chris Olave,
thank you. Chris Olave with the Saints.
I was like, I knew there was another first
Chris
round draft
Olave
pick.
was the other guy who was they both pointed to Smith and Jigba. So I'm not saying he's not great. He's probably not Justin Jefferson though. And so yeah, you wonder, and the market still, I'll say this again, I was anti-Steelers last year with their schedule, but not this year, man. I'm way higher on them than most people are. And Aaron Rodgers, as much as I don't really love him as a human being, I have said all offseason, I think he's got one more season just to go out with where he's a better than average quarterback, and he started with that yesterday.
Thanks for watching, but don't let the betting insights end here. If you want an extra edge this football season, you can get a month of VSiN Pro right now absolutely free. That means access to our betting insights, analysis, and tools like our betting splits at 0 cost to you. Click the link in the description to sign up.